most of us, most familiar story was of a city collapsed into anarchy. The police fleeing their jobs, looters running rampant, seemingly inexplicable attacks by the poor against those who would try to help. Descriptions of hordes of refugees running lawless through the Superdome and Convention Center became iconic. Particularly horrifying were descriptions of rapes and murders at the stadium and at the Convention Center. This narrative argued that people without a functioning state, people, yes, even Americans, would revert to a state of nature in which brutality reigned, cruelty was unabated, and violence was unchecked. The Washington Post banner headline that Friday, the weekend of Labor Day, summed up the lesson by linking two states that were, it implied, intimately related. New Orleans was now a city of despair and lawlessness. And it's worth noting that the New York Times actually used the same words in its banner headline the same day. Only a week later, however, there began to emerge from New Orleans, a counter-narrative to that first, in which the roles played by authority figures and those stranded in the city were inverted. In a piece first published in the Socialist Worker on September 9th, that was quickly sent around the internet and stripped of that provenance originally, two visiting San Francisco paramedics wrote of the spontaneous organizing by those who remained in New Orleans, working together to try to find food and then a way out of the city. The same weekend, the public radio program This American Life aired an interview with Denise Moore, who sheltered at the Superdome. Not only did she deny the murder, rape, and mayhem that had been a commonplace story the week before, but she also told of the self-organized activities by what she called gangster guys, who broke into abandoned stores, found fresh clothes for those who needed them, quote, juice for the babies, water, beer for the older people, food, raincoats so that they could all be seen by each other. Notably, in these stories, the authorities become the brutalizers, and the people who, in a time of crisis, could not be trusted. The paramedics told stories of the police lying to their group, and famously, or later famously, blocking by force their escaping the city. Quote, this is the Slonsky and Bradshaw, the paramedics. We were hiding from possible criminal elements, but equally indefinitely, we were hiding from the police and the sheriffs with their martial law, curfew, and shoot-to-kill policies. Moore said that authorities' caprice and just general nastiness fed rumors that the National Guard was planning to massacre those at the Superdome. In this counter-narrative, when the apparatus of the state disappears, people are able to overcome their other divisions and organize to provide for their basic needs. Indeed, in this vision, it is the state that attempts to prevent such organization, either through violence, as in the paramedic story, or through delegitimating the organizers as criminals, as in Moore's story. I describe these two dueling narratives because the stories that emerge from the immediate aftermath of disasters become the sources that later historians have to work with when researching and writing about those events. Our hypothetical future historian will necessarily read contemporary accounts of flooded New Orleans in order to glean from them what really happened, with how people really behaved, what really occurred when the early 21st century states blew away. Future historians will have to read reports of disorder, as carefully, sympathetically, and creatively as they read reports of order in order to write a history of power, resistance, and solidarity in the aftermath of Katrina.